Hi everyone, hope you're doing well and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all about how do you adapt your short game for when you're playing in the rain or it's just been really heavy rain all morning, which it has here at Woburn. It's poured down, the ground is saturated, the greens are soft and slow, and it's important to know how you need to adapt for greenside shots, up the fringe lie, out the rough and out the bunkers, which we'll cover here. And we're going to start with this sort of fairly straightforward shot up to that pin. It's around about 15 yards away and the ground is so soft, as you can see. Okay, now I know that chipping off wet conditions is a problem for a lot of you. You do have to be more precise, but there are certain things you can do in your setup and swing, and particularly club choice, which will make it a lot easier for you to play in these types of conditions, because I'm sure some of you will recognize that sort of shot there. Now I've hit that slightly behind the ball. You see this little curly divot here where the club has got stuck in the ground and the ball has gone nowhere, and it's not good for the mind, is it? When you do a few of those, you start getting a little bit nervy. And then what happens is the player then starts to really jam that ball further and further back with more and more shaft lean. And human nature then takes over and wants to sort of drive down into it to try and get a contact, to get that club on the back of the ball. And then even if you do, it can come off like an absolute missile like that. We still get that divot. I got the ball first contact there, so that was fine. But ultimately, because it's soft, the mind wants to take over and makes us drive at it a little bit too much. So the big lesson here is try and get away from using loft. Sometimes you will have to, I'll talk about that in a minute, but try and get away from using your 56, your 58s and your 60s if the ground is sodden. It makes it extremely difficult. You've got to be perfect when you strike it. So I would move away from my 56, and I quite like a 9-iron off the soft turf. And one thing I actually do is put that ball position a little bit further forward in the stance. So I actually play it more on my left heel. I'm still doing my chip and run release one, so the butter grip is still pointing at that left tip just after impact, but I'm just encouraging that club to bruise and brush the ground with a much lower takeaway, rather than when I have a lofted club. It's a longer swing, obviously you've got to start hinging your wrist a little bit more, and it's just harder to repeat. So it's a 9-iron, it's moved towards my left heel, minimal shaft lean, keep it as low as I can, really keep it under the table as I say, so under the table there, and then we pick the ball. And the important thing when you are working on these chips in soft conditions is you've got to keep moving, you've got to keep rotating, because the rotation actually lifts you out the ground a little bit. It sort of keeps the shoulder a little bit higher and avoids that temptation to move into it, which I know a lot of you will fall foul to. So we're going to go ball forward, 9-iron, low, and we clip it. And you can see how easy that is to repeat. Oh, just short, an inch short. But I could do that 100 times out of 100. It's such an easy shot. So rather than the ball being on the right heel, I'm moving it to the left heel. I don't want a slight upslope here, but I will still do this off a totally level lie. And I'm going wide and up the slope. And you can see what an easy little shot that is to repeat. When you get wet conditions on the green, it's so important you don't have spin. Because even if I strike this perfectly with a normal release one, which I've done there, you can see how the soft green just stops instantly as well. And how many times you do that where you play quite a nice shot and it just pulls up. The beauty about going down to less loft is you are taking that spin off the ball. It wants to run up the wet green. When a green is soft, you want your ball to run up the green, which is what the bit of snooker, or nearly both went in there. But you can see I had less spin on the ball because I used the appropriate loft. So that is the biggest lesson for a greenside chip, is to use less loft, put the ball forward a little bit, keep it low, and really make sure through the strike, you are moving up and out of the ground, you are rotating through the shot, you are rotating and you're not driving down to try and get that contact. And I'm sure you'll start getting some better results. So in terms of these longer shots, it's a good idea to go down to even less loft. And I don't rule anything out. When people ask me what club do you use around the greens, the answer is it all depends. It should be for you too. It all depends on the situation. So if we're going for that tall pin there, there's a really severe upslope. We know it's soft after all the rain, and there's around about 30 yards of green there. So you've got to use less loft. So I'm going to a 7-iron now. That's going to increase the ball speed, really reduce the spin, which isn't a good idea into upslopes in a soft green. And it's then going to help it run out. So this is a 7-iron, did it the same way I just mentioned, but hopefully you'll see this ball really wanting to move forward. You can see it's got no spin on the ball and it's running out, running out, running out, should break now. And you can see it's breaking in there towards the hole. Really easy shot, but it was made simple by the fact I used a 7-iron, so I think a lot of you might be using 54s or 56s there and trying to fly it the whole way, which of course you can do that, absolutely you can do that, but everything I do in a short game is how many times can you do it out of 10, and I know I could do that 10 times out of 10, and if I was trying to fly it in there high with a 56, I might be able to do it 5 times out of 10, because it's a longer swing and it's harder to judge the spin rather than just getting it running out like a putt. Okay, so sometimes you do need to go high. Let's say, for example, I'm going for this front pin and imagine this is a mound or rough or a bunker and I've got to go over it. So how do you hit it high? I definitely would stay away from 60 degree. I don't like the sharp leading edge of a 60 off a wet ground condition. So I prefer a little bit more bounce. So I'm using my 56, which has got 10 degrees of bounce and a softer sole. I think it's just easier to work through the soft ground. You can see how soft this is, okay? You know, it's absolutely sodden here. So what I don't want to do is use a sharp leading edge of 60. 60s, I think, for emergency use only. So if it was like hard pan baked, perfect. I don't really want the bounce. But here, when it's soft like this, I want to actually be able to slide the club on the soft turf without it sort of dinging too much. And I would play this exclusively like I'm actually trying to draw the ball, which helps shallow it out, helps the club work on the ground a little bit longer rather than trying to sort of hit down and get that ball first contact, which I think gets the ball coming off a little bit quick. I mean, I'll just show you, I can try and get ball first contact with a bit of shaft lean and try and sort of hold the loft. But you can see how much energy that's, it's done all right, it's about 15 feet, but you can see how much energy it's got. It hasn't really sort of hung through the air enough. Now, if I want to get it landing softly, I will drop the right foot back, play the ball position forward on the left heel, and swing a little bit in, a little bit this way. See how the butt of the grip is releasing, okay? So it's gone to the belt buckle there, so it's a release 2, but the face is actually turning over a bit because the toe is actually quite a friendly part of the club face. The heel is sharp and tends to want to dig in. So by moving the toe this way through it, actually helps the club slide through the wet turf actually quite nicely. So ball position left heel, drop the right foot back, shoulders in line with your feet. Don't open up this way because that will sort of counteract what we're trying to achieve here. And then we're going to go low to high with release. And you can be nice and smooth, so it's a release 2 kind of draw style. And you can see how softly I can get that ball coming off the club face there, all right? So it's come out real soft, just kicked off the fringe a bit there. I just need to carry it a little bit further. So nice and low. You can see the height I can still get and still stop it really nicely. And still get up and down from these sodden lies. I mean, these are tricky lies mentally, there's no doubt, when you're trying to hit a high shot of a ground condition like this. So super forward, right foot back, we go low to high, and we get that nice little draw feel, okay? And it's the same if I was just trying to hit a longer shot, I'll just do a longer swing. But you can see, it's very difficult for me to really miss-hit that if I'm keeping it as shallow as I am there, just clipping it up, low to high, release 2 with a little draw if you need to hit a high shot from a sodden fringe lie. Right, moving over to the rough, and this is absolutely soaked here, okay? I think there's actually standing water down there. A really effective way of playing from the rough is actually going this way, where you lean left, hinge it up nice and early, and you hit down and stop short, okay? That's like what I call like a pop shot, like you're just popping it out. Great when it's like hard pan underneath. The problem if you do that out of really soft rough like this is you can actually just sort of dig the club into the ground. It doesn't really get through very well. It came out quite well for me there, but if I was to come a little bit earlier into that, you know, it sort of does that sort of thing, like it's too wet for that. So here's a nice little shot you can use, a bit of a speciality shot when it's in the rough. If it's really, really deep rough, you would have to do that, by the way. This is like for medium rough, and you feel like you can probably still get the club through it. Is, again, what I alluded to earlier, you're going to use more the toe. The toe is a friendly bit. The toe is designed to slide, heel's designed to dig. So we're going to go slightly open with the stance, but we're going to put the toe down low, the handle nice and high, ball position just sort of just inside the left heel there, and you're going to go out and across. Don't use your wrist too much. Don't worry about sort of what release you're using here. Just feel like you're going across the ball, and using the toe part of the club to slide and get through the wet grass. Okay, so it's toe down, stand open, go out and across. And you can just see how softly that came through and how easily it still works out of the absolutely soaking wet grass. Okay, so awkward little clump behind it, toe down, out and across, and it comes out so softly and so nicely rather than ploughing down, you know, super kind of steep and down into it, which can get the club digging too much. So you can just get that toe sliding through. Let's see if I can get this down the left a bit more. I'm going to concentrate on this one. Here we go. Right, toe down, out, across. Look how softly that comes out. You can see it just rolls down there, okay, towards the hole there. So such an easy shot. I'd love you to try that and let me know how you get on with it. Just put it in the comments below if it's a shot that you're using. I teach obviously from hard pan, like you using that, but I think when the ground and the rough gets super soft, it's a great shot. Even these little short ones, I'll stay here so you can see it. Even if I'm just trying to finish this on the fringe, just a little shot like that, you know, brilliant little shot, comes out and it comes out soft, which is a good idea when you greenside out the rough. So try that if you're really playing in wet conditions. Use the toe, let it go out, let it cut across like a scythe, and it comes across, comes out soft without ploughing down too much. Right, wet sand, really tricky, really is difficult. You can see the sand here has just been compressed by all the rain, and it's just sort of sitting there. There's no real rake marks. It's sort of not been fluffed up. Now, this is where your golfing IQ does need to step up a level, because you can get some bunkers which have actually got a nice depth of sand. It's just the rain has just compacted them a little bit, but there's still quite a lot under there. It just doesn't look like it. Now, I know this bunker because I'm walking in it. I know, look, there's still quite a lot of sand in here. It's not like it's compact and there's no sand. So I still need to use lots of release of the club. I still want to be using the trailing edge of the bounce. I still want to be really releasing it through. I can't play it downward and kind of really steeply down. I want to really feel like I'm still using the bounce. So I'm still actually going to do my regular setup for a bunker shot with my ball position on the left heel and really releasing it. But what you do have to do when it is in this sort of sand, okay, a lot of it, but really wet, is you have to increase the speed. You have to increase the speed of the club head, which I do a little bit in my right hand, but I'd mainly do it with the speed of my chest. Because if I play this at a regular speed, the sand, because it's heavier and wet, is going to slow the club head down more. When it's loose and dry, the sand moves quicker, so it moves the ball out quicker. But when it's like this, it's going to slow everything down. So I just need to simply increase the speed, but still do my release 2/3 bunker shot. I still want to be doing that because I know there's still quite a lot of sand under there. It's just not as light as it normally would be. So loads of release. And there we go. Still comes out really nicely. Nearly went in the hole, that one. Let's try that again. So ball forward, loads of release, just increase the speed. And there we go, that's how you do it. So that's how you play it if you feel like there's a decent depth. So if the rain has really compacted the sand and there isn't as much sand in the bunker, this is where the technique I just showed you won't work. You actually need to hit down fairly steep. So I used my 56 for the previous shot. I would now go to the 60. My 60 has a sharper leading edge. It has more loft, which means I can take more off with the shaft lean at address. You can see here how there's very little sand. In fact, I'm actually down to the rubber crumb on the bottom there, okay? So it doesn't really get any more compact than that. And what I need to do now is feel like my divot is getting deeper as it's getting longer, because it's really compact and wet sand, okay? Really down. If I release it like I just did there, I would thin the ball about 50 yards over the green. That's not very pretty when you do that, is it? So, ball position now, middle, shaft lean, hold it tight with this part of your left hand. That helps you hold the loft on. You don't want this turning over. Now we want to use a little bit more of the heel. The heel is quite sharp, so it's hinge. Okay, hit the heel into it. Far more of a release one. So when you're coming through it, it's this type of release rather than this one. And you keep the club head low and down, okay? So ball middle, ton of shaft lean, body aims left, hinge it early. And there's your release one adapting there, okay. Still got loads of spin. I got a really big first bounce, then the spin came on, but you can see how the follow through has changed. Follow through changes how the club releases through the sand. So your main task, very much when you get in the bunker when it's had lots of rain, is there lots of sand under there? Like here I can tell there's lots of sand under here. It just looks compact, or actually, is it really washed it out and it's like that? And you're basically going, right, more speed, we're still with release, or you're going steeper with less release if it's like that. And I think that will really help you when you get these challenging conditions, okay? Just understanding how to adapt, which is the biggest skill in short game. There isn't one way to do it. There isn't one way to do it. There isn't one way of swinging. You've got to make sure you adapt, and it's all about getting the golfing IQ increased, so you can then, when you're on the golf course, make the right decisions, use the right club and play the right shot at the right time. So hopefully that's helped you. The rain is about to start. There's some really black clouds coming, so I'm going to make my way in, but hopefully that's helped you, and see you next time.